Yo, yo, yo. Let me bring my microphone a little closer. What's going on, fam? I got a new one for you. Sorry. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the reassembling. I got another one for you. The Hyperianism, that is Mourge. I think we got a quick glimpse of him and My Friend is Mourge. Understatement, I think. Guy is something else. The guy, I mean, we have to admit this guy is out there with some stuff. But in that last video, I said I was going to talk to you about actualizing. We're actually going to actualize. So let's find out what that means. So don't go nowhere.
In a previous video, we explored the concept of the unconscious and one of its structures, the shadow self. Now we're going to examine another one of its structures, the mirror self. The importance of the mirror self cannot be stressed enough. Integrating your mirror self is the most critical aspect of interstar actualization. It's the gateway to the unconscious realm and the key to becoming your true self. It's both the most important and the most difficult to integrate.
How convenient. It's the most difficult to integrate. So let's hear this buffoonery.
So what is your mirror self? We learned that your shadow self is composed all the parts of your ego self that the ego rejected. They were once part of your ego, but it caused negative responses in your life by external influences, so these aspects were repressed into your unconscious shadow. So while your shadow self is formed from the parts of the ego that were rejected, your mirror self is formed by the aspects of your ego self that are the opposite. Now, this difference might seem subtle, but it's important.
Okay, so I spared you the shadow actualizing. That's not worth your time. Okay, do you see that stupid little chart he had? It was basically a line. It was like a what is it? A triang or whatever you want to call it. It's just, okay, and it says shadow, and then and the other one's going to be the mirror. Inside is your ego. That's stupid. In his unconscious shadow video, I spared you, like I was saying. I watched the whole thing. Didn't get anything out of it. So basically, out of all his Hyperion rhetoric and his irrational thoughts and how he puts things together, he's basically saying at the end of the video, he's saying, you have to confess with your mouth that you have a shadow. It's very retarded. And I was just like, why did I get... So, I mean, I've heard shadow in that video probably 100 times, and only thing I could think about the whole time he's saying shadow is... So let's hear what he's got to say.
For example, let's say that you're aggressive.
Oh, before that, the shadow self is suppressed. So in that video, the shadow self is suppressed. The whole idea is that you hate something, like guys wearing makeup. It means you have a suppressed shadow self who wants to wear makeup. Or if you're against homosexuality, obviously, that means you desire that lifestyle. So if we're using his argument, then he wants to be a Christian because isn't he always going against Christianity? In my opinion, yeah, he is. So let me move my camera just a little bit. Okay.
And this caused you to be punished as a child, so you repressed this aspect of your ego self into your unconscious. This becomes your shadow self. It was part of you, then it was repressed. Now, conversely, imagine that you're extremely introverted. This means that your mirror self is extroverted. While the shadow self are the parts of the ego that are rejected, your mirror self is your inner opposite. We call this structure the mirror self because in the mirror, everything is reversed. With the mirror self, everything gets reversed and it's all about your opposites. Okay,
we get it. Yes, the mirror. We know what a mirror does. A mirror shows a reflection. Everything's opposite. Yeah. So that's unless in case you didn't know what the mirror means.
The aspects of you
complete opposites.
that are opposite of your ego consciousness. This includes the left and right hemispheric functions of the brain and gender polarities.
Interesting. So, I mean, the male and female icons here, I think he's just introducing intersex ideas. I'm a male, so there's there must be some female aspect in me. I think that's stupid. That's a transgender agenda.
Now, these polarities must be integrated. Someone that only cultivates left brain qualities is like someone that's trying to walk with just their left foot. You have to cultivate both qualities to get anywhere. The left and right feet must work together if you want to move forward. You must cultivate both left and right hemispheric associated functions if you want to explore the unconscious and evolve.
So, he's equivalating the walking with a left and right foot to you conscientiously revealing and unleashing your unconscious. So you're consciously realizing your unconscious part of your brain. Does that make any sense?
If you're extremely sensible and rational, then your mirror self is intuitive and emotional. If you're dominant, it's submissive. If you're artistic and chaotic, it's logical.
If you're Hyperian, then your opposite would be rationality and logic, correct?
And ordered. The mirror self also includes gender, and understanding this is critical. If you feel masculine, then your mirror self is feminine.
No, it's not. I don't have a feminine part of me. What does that even mean? Every man has an inner feminine. Every female has an inner masculine. Where's the evidence for that? And the people he likes to quote are people that they just have theories. It's pseudoscience stuff. It's a Gnostic idea of androgynous stuff, neither male nor female. He's basically pushing Hyperianism is basically transgenderism. It's the religion behind transgenders. That's got to be what it is.
The mirror self is similar to the concept of the anima and animus put forward by Carl Jung. According to Jung, every man has an inner feminine, called the anima, and every woman has an inner masculine, called the animus.
So in Genesis 1:27, it says, so God created his own image. In the image of God, he created him male and female. He created them. Jesus is going to back that up in Matthew 19:4. He answered, have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female? So when God gave the law to the Israelites, he put prohibitions against the blurring of genders. Find that in Deuteronomy 22:5. A woman must not wear men's clothing, nor a man wear woman's clothing. I'm paraphrasing, but the idea is that God distinctively created two genders, and there's only two genders. I'm probably going to say this over and over in the video. There is only two genders. I'm sorry. You say you feel feminine, you say you feel masculine. You can't feel any other way. I don't feel male nor female. Then you're not an alien. You're not an inanimate object. You're not a dog. What does that mean? Yes, you feel either male or female. If you're a male and you feel female, that's something else. You're not. Doesn't make you female. If you're female and you feel male, it doesn't make you male. Sorry, it just doesn't. And I'll argue that point.
The problem with this is that gender isn't binary. It exists on a spectrum. Furthermore, what it means to be masculine or feminine is really arbitrary and dependent on the culture and time that you were born in. So saying that every man has an inner feminine and every woman has an inner masculine, as if those are the only two options, is extremely limiting.
Watch this. This is going to get confusing.
Gender is a state of mind. So if you feel masculine, regardless of what kind of body you may have, that means that your mirror self is feminine. Likewise, if you feel feminine, then your mirror self is masculine. And all the possibilities that lie between exist as well.
The absolute retardation of Hyperianism. Gender is a state of mind. Did he not just say if you're masculine, then your mirror self is feminine? Now he's saying technically gender is non-binary, so you can have a technically non-binary mirror self. That's what he's saying. You technically feel non-binary, therefore your mirror image is non-binary. So why does he even stress the fact that genderism is if it doesn't apply to anything, then what's the point of finding a mirror of that gender that doesn't apply? That's just a complete, utter ridiculousness of Hyperianism. Make that make sense to me in the comments. Maybe I'm hearing that wrong. Is that what he's saying? Early on, he said if you're male, you feel female. You have a female mirror side. If you're female, you have a male side. Now we're non-binary, and there is no gender. So your mirror opposite would be also a non-binary gender. I just knocked the cord out of my headphones.
Let's say that you feel 60% feminine and 40%.
Let me pause that. Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense.
Masculine. Then your mirror self is 60% masculine and 40% feminine. Remember, your mirror self is your reflection, your inverse, its inner opposite. Since your mirror self contains your inner opposite, which applies to gender, that means that even if your ego chooses to express itself as masculine or feminine, our eternal mind has no gender. Taken as a whole, the mind, a monad, has no fixed gender.
It hurts. It hurts my brain when I do these videos. Just him. Global Witness is different. He had his heretical teachings, so you're like, when you look at him and you say, hey, yeah, you're interpreting that incorrectly. This guy, I'm really scratching my brain. How he even thinks of this stuff. Your inner mind has no gender. Okay. If you feel masculine, then your mirror self is feminine. If you're feminine, then your mirror self is masculine. But it's all non-binary and there is no gender. That's what he just said. Your inner mind has no gender. Okay, that's what he's saying. But if you feel masculine, then your mirror self is feminine. If you're feminine, then your mirror self is masculine. But if it's all non-binary and there is no gender. This is the worldview we have to accept. Think about that. You're a bigot if you say that's ludicrous, that's insanity. You are labeled hateful. You're suppressing people that think this way. This is the transgender mind state. Now there's a theology behind it to justify.
Now, I have to stress that talking about the mirror self and any aspect of the unconscious is very difficult. This is because they are not clearly delineated concepts. There aren't clear borders. They're always moving and evolving, and they're flowing into one another.
He always says that in every video. Oh, this might be complicated to understand. Yeah, because you don't even understand what you're talking about. Free and flowing. I think you're free and flowing every video, meaning I think you're just coming up with this stuff on the fly. That's what I think.
They exist on a moving spectrum, as clearly demonstrated by the fluidity of gender. This applies to the unconscious and the conscious, and the left and right hemispheric functions of the brain. Even though these concepts are never 100% precise, because they're always moving, we can use models to speak about them and explore them in a simplified way that's helpful. Just keep in mind, there are always exceptions and degrees to everything that we discuss. I pointed out that your mirror self is the most important as well as the most difficult to integrate, and that it's the key, the gateway to your unconscious. So why is it the most difficult? Carl Jung called integrating the shadow self the apprentice piece, and integrating your internal opposite, what we call the mirror self, the masterpiece. Integrating the shadow self is training mode. Integrating your mirror self is where the real work begins. People have a hard time.
Carl Jung. Let's talk about him for a second. So he's quoting him as if this is gospel and this can't be refuted because Carl Jung said so. I did some research on Carl Jung. He worked with Sigmund Freud. So that should say one thing. You know, the psychoanalysis, the method of analyzing psychic phenomena, treating mental disorders by encouraging patients to talk freely about intimate things like childhood memories and dreams. This is basically auditing on the E-meter in Scientology. This is probably the main reason why people like Tom Cruise, John Travolta can never leave the church. They sit in this room and they're being audited by the auditors in Scientology. I guess that's what you call them. They're confessing the most intimate, deep things since birth and the most intimate things that the world shouldn't know, and they document this stuff. Now you have a file on you. It's the same concept that he's talking about. Carl Jung. Carl Jung is kind of along the same line as that. It's pseudoscience. Carl Jung's been highly discredited through many scientists because his concepts of archetypes and synchronicity that cannot be verified scientifically. But fortunately for Hyperians, they reject mainstream science. How convenient. Carl Jung also subscribes to 19th century notion of evolution that has been thoroughly discredited. He had interest in the occults. And guess which cults he had interest in? That's right. 3rd century Gnosticism and medieval alchemy. Maybe we'll do a video on alchemy. I guess this is, from a Gnostic historical perspective, we can get into alchemy and Manichaeism. The guy Manny, who had his little spin-off of Gnosticism once it was kind of rejected throughout the mainstream Christians after Irenaeus had kind of, set in stone, look, these guys are heretics, boom, boom, we're done. The rest of the world knows it, all their literature's burnt. That's how you do it. And they were discredited, they were debunked, they were just had no credibility. Manichaeism kind of derived out of that, and alchemy. He also subscribes to Taoism and I think it's Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah, he has glorifications in mysticism and irrationalism. This little comment here is according to the European Medical. Jung's interest in pre-scientific Asian and occultic systems of thought has been a target of such criticism. These beliefs have frequently been dismantled by rational-minded scholars as historical curiosities or primitive superstitions. Those who believe that the scientific and technological achievements of the West prove the superiority of Western culture to all others are undeniably offended by Jung's notion that the West's one-sided emphasis on progress needed balance or compensation from Eastern modes of thought. It is not necessary, however, to pass judgment on Gnostic or Asian mythology as such in order to observe that Jung failed to ask how these systems functioned in their specific historical and social context. In other words, Jung remains open to criticism as unscientific because he tended to assign all of them equal value and relevance. One French scholar has described Jung's work as a soup, a fish-rearing pond in which all fishes are given a chance. So, more exactly like this guy is, the professional opinion. He is the general bishop of Hyperianism. He's supporting what he's backing up. There you go. You reference when someone gives you a reference in any religion, anything where are you getting your references from? And do they have credibility? Is Irenaeus credible when I speak against Gnosticism? Most of the scholastic world historical records, church history, even secular historians will agree that Irenaeus had a time and spot and place in history that these writings of his were very beneficial to the church as a whole, to the known world. But when you were referencing someone like Carl Jung and saying, well, he has this opinion about how we can, how it supports my idea. the synchronicity, the archetypes, and all this stuff. And they're saying pure speculation, buddy. What are you talking about, man? Where's your scientific evidence that this is even true? Well, we do science, but we also have Asian mysticism and Gnosticism. Scientific world says, you know what? I think you're full of crap, buddy. So, highly discredited in the academic world. God doesn't know what he's talking about.
Integrating their shadow because it's the part of their ego selves that they rejected. People have an even more difficult time integrating their mirror self because it's the opposite of their ego self. Many view their inner opposite as foreign, alien, and other. Just look at how much hate there is in this world over the concept of gender.
I don't have an inner opposite. There's only two genders, male and female. Argue me. Put in the comments. There's only two genders, male and female. Without these two genders already being defined, we would not be able to sustain life. We would not be here. I will argue that gender fluidity does not exist. I don't believe it. And no chance. We did make a video about transgenderism, and I did not disrespect him, but I don't also have to agree with him, though. Oh, there is two genders. Prove me wrong, really. And they say gender is not. It's not about your sex. It's historically defined. Genderism is male-female. When we put new twists on definitions of meaning, they just want to fight over the definition of the meaning. Basically what transgenders want to do. Well, it's not what it means. It means this. Well, okay, that doesn't make it true. Just because your definition changes and you want to make non-binary and pansexual, asexual, whatever they're called, there's still two genders. Gender means male, female. That's what it is. It's what it's been known. And the concept that it's not just male, female is a very new idea. And you can't override what the defined term for genderism is.
Many people think that men are men and women are women and would rather die before admitting gender fluidity, let alone confronting and integrating their own inner opposite.
Yes, I would. I will defend it to the death. To the death, I say. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And then you throw all this in your mind. You have a mirror opposite. It's even more confusing. Transgenderism alone is a radical idea. But to introduce this, that there is a mirror opposite in your brain, come on, dude. That's just retarded.
Mirror self is all about opposites, reflections, inverses, whether it be about personality traits, the left and right hemispheric functions of the brain, or gender. Imagine that you're very artistic. Then integrating your mirror self would mean working on your logical and rational skills by studying mathematics and philosophy. Conversely, if you're the type of person that prefers these left brain associated activities, mathematics and philosophy, then you need to cultivate your artistic, expressive, emotional, and intuitive side. Now, are you beginning to see why the mirror self is difficult to integrate? Exploring your opposite puts you well outside of your comfort zone. Usually the last thing an artistic person wants to do is study logical subjects. And a highly masculine ego will have a difficult time exploring their inner feminine. And an introvert avoids extroverted tendencies.
So, basically, if he's illogical, like he is, if he's illogical and irrational in this life, in this physical world, then maybe he should work on integrating logic and rationality. Maybe in his introverted, mirrored self, things will make sense. He would have a valid argument.
Why is your mirror self the most important archetype to integrate? This is because it's the key to uniting the conscious and the unconscious, to integrating the left and right hemispheric functions of the brain. These qualities are not in opposition to each other. They are complementary and must work together. If you try to walk with only your left foot, you're not going to get anywhere. Now, to understand why, let's look at the logical and the intuitive. Logic is associated with the left hemisphere of the brain, and intuition with the right hemisphere. Now, it's important to realize that the left and right hemispheric functions are not precisely delineated. They work together and flow into one another. But speaking about it in a generalized way gives us a simplified model that we can work with. In general, the left hemisphere is associated with consciousness, and the right hemisphere is associated with the unconscious. Now let's imagine a very logical individual that's cut off from their intuitive side. This person will be like a calculator.
Really? So is there any, can he demonstrate if there's anybody that combine their conscious with their unconscious and use the whole capacity of their brain? If he's the expert, he's teaching all this stuff, he should be able to demonstrate what it looks like. Why hasn't he reached this state yet? So he should be in this evolved state that he's talking about. He's teaching it. It's like a poor guy teaching people how to spend money, be rich. Demonstrate it. What are you talking about? Then he said the left brain is like a calculator. Well, according to his logic, this is the Hyperians, and that's a good thing, right? Aren't you infinite mathematical energy? What's the problem with that? You can't just be mathematical energy in the left brain?
Machine. They may be able to recite facts, but they'll be completely cut off from exploring their unconscious mind. For this person, their intuitive side lies within their mirror self. Now imagine that there's a very intuitive individual, but that they're cut off from their logical side. They may be artistic and have a sort of dreamy existence.
Didn't he say that reality is a dream? What is it, math? Are we infinite mathematic living in a dream? That's what he said. We are infinite mathematic living in a dream. Here's the clip.
You are dreaming right now, and me talking to you is a message from yourself trying to get you to wake up. I know it sounds crazy. This person will be very connected to their unconscious. For this person, their logical side lies within their mirror self. Neither of these individuals have integrated their mirror self. Thus, neither of them will be able to make proper use of their unconscious content.
You won't be able to make use of your unconscious content? What does that even mean? How are you supposed to use an unconscious content consciously? Guys, this is why he hurts my brain. It's why he hurts my brain. Can imagine to be involved in this. Just imagine being a year into this. Yeah, I've been, really trying to tap into my unconscious content. I've recognized my mirror self. I've acknowledged vocally that I have a shadow self. How's your shadow self doing? It's 40% this, 60% mirror. Still working on it. That's the stupidest thing I've heard, man. Won't be able to make use of your unconscious content. Can't prove or disprove that. That's what makes an irrational claim. Can't prove or disprove it.
The logical individual is very good at sequencing information into patterns, but they're cut off from their unconscious. The intuitive individual will be connected to their unconscious, but the world of the unconscious is extremely chaotic and dreamy. It's like being submerged in the chaotic ocean. Since this person hasn't integrated their logical side, they'll be unable to take the information from their unconscious and order and filter it into a usable pattern.
This guy. So basically, you'll never know. You'll never know if you're a true Hyperion, because it's all about irrational, complicated interpretation. The number of mental loops to even grasp any meaning. It's just really not worth it, in my opinion. What if this guy's wrong? What if there's a Hyperion that's saying... Does that make any sense? Another guy comes along. Hey, he was teaching you about the patterns wrong. This is how you really do it. This is how you're supposed to teach about the patterns in the unconscious content. That's not. He was wrong. And there's, can you imagine Hyperianism splintering off and having a schism. In 2021, some of the followers of Mourge broke off, started their own version of Hyperion. They're even more chaotic and stupid.
One individual is logical and good at ordering information, but has no access to their unconscious content. This person can order information, but has no information to order. As a result, they tend to be machine-like. They very often choose a career in the sciences. The other individual has access to their unconscious content, but they lack the ability to order and filter this information into a pattern. As a result, they may feel very confused and end up believing wild conspiracy theories, or become unable to tell the difference between what's true and false, what's fact and what's fiction, what's reality and what's fantasy.
Wow. That's insane. Did you just say wild conspiracies? You mean like the one that means the one that teaches that that the rich elite are keeping us as brain dead shoppers and so the answer to realize we have to realize that we're infinite mathematical energy proven by a priori logic and deductive reasoning governed by Euler's formula, so we can have consensual sex but we really don't exist. Like that, would that be a conspiracy? You mean like that one? But you can't, if you're doing it, you're reaching into your unconscious content incorrectly. No one can back you up and say you're unconsciously grabbing the content out of your mirrored self. Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
They won't have any kind of logical ground or compass to navigate the wild waters of the unconscious. Now, this kind of person often becomes an artist. You must develop both faculties. You must be able to have access to unconscious content and also be able to take that wild and chaotic content.
Wild and chaotic content. Mourge Official on YouTube is known as wild and chaotic content.
Filter it and order it into a logical pattern. Logic and intuition must work together. The left and right hemispheric functions of the brain must both be developed and utilized. The scientist and the artist must become united in one individual. It cannot be stressed enough how important this is.
Absolutely.
This is the key to integration.
Yes.
It's the gateway to the unconscious.
Absolutely.
If you don't begin to integrate your mirror self, inner star actualization is impossible. This is the bridge between worlds.
Why don't you just smoke DMT? He said that before. You can skip all this stuff and just smoke psychedelics. That's what he said. He put a caption, "Don't do drugs." I think he's dropping acid. I honestly do. There's no way he's serious about this.
This is incredibly difficult for most people, because those who are intuitive and artistic tend to not be interested in developing logic and reason, for example, by learning philosophy or mathematics. Likewise, those that are interested in logical topics tend not to be interested in cultivating their intuition through artistic expression and exercises like dream work or exploring the psychedelic experience. But this is key. How can you become whole if you ignore your inner opposite?
How can you become whole if you ignore your inner opposite? I'm so glad he brought that up. Let's let him know our perspective, okay? The only way anybody can experience wholeness is through the Lord of Lords and King of Kings, the unblemished Lamb, the Logos, the suffering servant of Isaiah 53, the incarnation of God, the eternal Almighty God revealed to mankind in human form. Psalms, listen to this, a very, very good psalm. Psalm 73:26 says, "My flesh and my heart may grow weak, but God always protects my heart and gives me stability. Yes, look, those far from you die. You destroy everyone who is unfaithful to you. But as for me, God's presence is all I need. I have made the sovereign Lord my shelter, as I declare all the things you have done." That's the real truth. That's the real truth. That's where you can find wholeness.
The whole endeavor is about uniting apparent opposites to become whole. When exploring the shadow self, we examined shadow projection. Mirror projection also occurs. Mirror projection is fascinating because it creates psychological tension. This is because we're attracted to the projected qualities, but we're also repelled as they're considered alien and other. We unconsciously desire to unite with our mirror self, our inner opposite. And we very often project this desire to unite onto others. This means we may become extremely attracted to a partner that exhibits the qualities of our mirror self.
He's basically saying, yeah, opposites attract. It's basically what he's saying, okay? Yeah, we get it. Opposites attract. Yeah, we like qualities that we don't have in ourselves that we see in other people. So big deal. This doesn't mean it's true. We just automatically are attracted to those completely opposite of us. No, you have certain common grounds. When me and my wife agree on a lot of stuff, we disagree on some stuff. Doesn't mean we're mirrored opposites. That's stupid. Nothing to do with dreams, mirrors, and shadows. So the way he explains it is irrational.
Instead of uniting with these qualities within ourselves, we'll project and attempt to unite with an external individual to fulfill our desire for unity. Unfortunately, they'll always disappoint us. We won't ever feel fulfilled because what we
No, you disappoint me.
truly desire is our own inner unification. This unconscious desire for unifying with our inner opposite is the basis for society's current obsession with the idea of soulmates or twin flames. Our true soulmate, our true twin flame is within us. We should seek inner unity and inner fulfillment rather than trying to find wholeness in another person.
Yeah, I think he's found his inner. He loves himself. It's his inner self. I think he could be dating himself. Unconsciously, he probably is dating himself. He just doesn't realize he has to tap into that.
Mirror projection can cause much conflict for those with traditional and conservative values, those who are most alienated from their inner opposite. For example, many conservative men may be attracted to women due to their unconscious desire to unite with their own inner feminine.
Sorry for the pauses. I can't let that pass. The inner feminine. Because men want to be in touch with that inner feminine. Does he honestly believe that men are attracted to women because we have an inner feminine? Male and female attraction is a God-given natural and biological reality, moron. That's stupid. So we like women. Men are attracted to women because they have an inner feminine? We are genetically attracted to women because they're beautiful creatures. Women are attracted to men because that's how they are genetically, biologically, and God-given. That's how they are. That's just how we are wired. That's how it's supposed to be. That's why you're here. That's how you're here. His parents got together. Can you believe that? And had him. Neither one of his parents went into their inner feminine or inner masculine. They're probably looking at him like, that's their baby boy.
On one hand, they're attracted to women, but on the other, they view the feminine as alien and other, and thus they can feel threatened by them and even have disdain towards them.
We say that jokingly. You don't have to take it to heart. Men are from Mars when women are from Venus. Yes, they're aliens. We fear them. They're aliens. So we have to marry them and then do things around the house and take out the trash. So he caught us.
This conflict between being extremely internally unbalanced while being attracted to and feeling threatened simultaneously can cause immense problems. We can see this clearly in our culture. Our male-dominated society treats women like objects to own.
Objects to own. Why don't know why he says it like that? Well, yes and no. The Christian man, the Christian family, Christian household does not do that. But you got to kind of put the blame on women who are flaunting themselves like that. They're not of God. They're not they're not stripping for Jesus. They're not being the best they can and being a good stewards of their bodies and their body. They're not treating their body as a temple. Men have owned women, treated them like property, still do. Men are sinners, women are sinners. That's the whole idea to it. We recognize that, but it's not because man's suppressing the inner feminine unconscious and he's bringing out the truth to say this is why it's happening. No, it's sin. Sin is why it's happening. It's been why it's happening. So am I wrong to say women shouldn't do anything they want to do as well? Should they dress modestly? It's in the Bible. Should men dress modestly? Should men wear clothing pertaining to women? No. Should women be a one man woman? Should a man be a one woman man? Yes. Sex is in our culture. It's all over the place. It's on TV. It's idolized. It's applauded. It's worshipped. It's not of God. That's why men look at women as objects, because they are not righteous. They are not repentant sinners seeking wisdom from God through the cross and loving their neighbor. They're not listening and doing God's commandments. They are not living a holy life. Get it? See the concept?
While restricting their rights and keeping them subservient. This stems from their unconscious desire to unite with their opposite, while at the same time their ego consciousness is threatened by what it considers to be other and foreign.
I'm not marrying my wife to get in touch with my inner feminine. That's what he was just saying. I married my wife because she is a woman, because I desired to be with a woman, and I love my wife. That's basically the concept. And that's basically all we think, men think through. We want to be, yeah, I mean, there's a certain lust there, but we are attracted to them naturally, okay? We're not forced to be attracted to them because of it. So stupid. An inner feminine. He might have effeminate ways, but that doesn't mean all men do. I think he's just confused. Hyperianism is just icing on the cake for him.
Just as an individual has a shadow and a mirror self, so does the world, since the world is formed by its inhabitants. The majority of the world's problems are caused by the collective shadow and mirror. All the hatred of the LGBTQ and the oppression of women stems from this. It's crucial for the individual and the world at large to integrate these structures to end all the discrimination and hatred. To begin integration, the first step is to acknowledge that you have a mirror self, an inner opposite. So say aloud, right now, I consciously acknowledge that I have a mirror self. This is very powerful, so make sure you do it. The next step in integration is to become conscious of the attributes of your mirror self. So
be conscious of the attributes of your mirror self. So be conscious of your attributes of your mirror self. So if my mirror self is feminine and the attributes of that feminine is a good cook, so I should be conscious of being a good cook. What does that mean? I got a whole bottle of Tylenols right here because I have to try to listen to this guy
list
make
of
this video.
Personality traits that you identify with. The difficulty with this is that everything lies on a spectrum. We all have some aspects of, say, introversion and extroversion, or dominance and submission, or logic and intuition and emotion. But usually, we'll identify with one more than the other. So make a list of those traits that you most identify with, and then list their opposites. This is an excellent way to begin to become aware of the attributes of your mirror self. Consider if you identify
Nope, not following. Nope.
more with left brain associated functions or right brain associated functions. Are you more interested in mathematics, science, and philosophy? Or do you prefer painting or creating music? When it comes to gender, becoming aware of your mirror self can be easier. Just consider the opposite of what you identify as. Once you become...
Consider the opposite of what you identify as. So if you're a man and you identify as a woman, you should look to your inner masculine, and you're already a man.
Conscious of an aspect of your mirror self,
This guy.
the next step is to integrate these aspects into your consciousness. So that means to actually work on the parts of you that are foreign to your ego self. Actually work on
Maybe Hyperianism is foreign to me. Maybe I should work on that. Actualizing.
cultivating your logic and reason if that's part of your mirror. Actually work on intuitively connecting to your unconscious through dream work, psychedelic work, or void states if you need to work on your intuitive side. When it comes to gender, do mental exercises where you think about what it would be like to be the other gender.
I'm not going to think what it would be like to be a woman. That's stupid. That's the problem. Why would I want to think about being a woman? I'm not a woman. I would ask a woman how she feels. You wouldn't. He would never know what it feels like to be a woman. He will never know. He can assume, based on behaviors he's recognized, that doesn't make it true, and his feelings are not authentic because he's not a woman. Horrible advice.
Put yourself in their position and see life from their perspective.
As a man, I can empathize with what a woman goes through. That's it. I can't feel like a woman.
Do this in your daily life. See the world from their eyes. In fact, you should consider wearing the clothing of your gender opposite around the house from time to time.
Oh my goodness. Oh my. Oh my goodness. Did he just say that? Consider wearing women's clothes? Huh. I'm not going to wear women's clothes around the house. Because I just read to you Deuteronomy 22:5. That's a lie, and that's sick to tell men to do that. I would not benefit from wearing women's clothing around the house. The advice is horrible.
Now, does this seem strange or extreme to you? If it does, that's
If it does, listen to this.
a sign of not being properly integrated. If this
That's a
seems
sign. If this disturbs you, that's because you're not properly integrated. Duh. This guy. Oh, my goodness.
normal and didn't cause discomfort, it wouldn't be other or foreign, and it would be comfortable. The very fact that it may seem strange to you is a sign that you would greatly benefit from this.
So how would I benefit from wearing women's clothing around the house? What?
Remember, none of this is easy or comfortable. Growth, evolution, integration is all about struggle and putting yourself outside your comfort zone. And how silly is it really that so many people are afraid of a kind of cloth? A point of confusion that may arise is, how can you be all these opposites at the same time? How can you be logical, intuitive, and in touch with your emotions all simultaneously? Now, remember, to integrate doesn't mean that you're all these things all at once. It means that you've cultivated them, have access to them within consciousness, and then you can use them in their proper time and place.
Guys, I can't with him. We are almost 20 minutes into this video. His video. And I am asking for my audience, or Mourge official, why are we more confused now than we were before we even started this video? Shouldn't you have cleared up any confusion of how to find our mirror self? Shouldn't we be able to, as an audience, to fully articulate without a shadow of a doubt what the intergender opposite is and how to actualize it? I'm stupider having sat through your video. Everybody else watching me, watching you, is turning stupider.
As Hyperians, we of course know that reason is the ordering function and the apex of mind. You can be rational while having the power to tap into your unconscious. And of course, if you're in a situation when you're trying to make a connection with someone, that would be the time to tap into your emotional intelligence.
That would be the
There's
time.
There's a time and place for everything. And to become whole and actualized, you must integrate these different aspects of yourself into consciousness. Additionally,
Do you say reason is the first priority of Hyperianism? It's all unreasonable. It's illogical. It's extremely unclear and purely on interpretation. You never know if you're actualizing whatever because you have to realize, you have to know. And no one can sit there and tell you that you have not realized correctly or applied the knowledge correctly. How can anybody know their inner gender opposite is unbalanced with their actual gender? How can you even determine who's doing it correctly, who's not? That is my question.
when it comes to gender, integrating your inner opposite doesn't mean that you, let's say, have to dress androgynously all the time, though it's fine if you do. You don't have to express yourself in a certain way. You can be feminine, masculine, androgynous, non-binary, or whatever you so choose. It doesn't matter.
So what's the whole point of the mirror? What's the whole point of the mirror opposite with the gender thing? Said it doesn't matter. None of it matters. So if it doesn't matter, and then you have to go into your unconscious to get your it doesn't matter, what's the point of you making this video? What's the point of getting actualized? What does actualize even mean? What does the mirror self even mean? So if it's masculine, feminine, you can change that anytime you want. Then you have to do the mirror opposite. That doesn't matter because it's masculine or feminine. You can change it. This is going to be the last video I do of you because listening to you is making me stupider. It's making me hate the internet. To allow this buffoonery to continue. I don't see why YouTube has not flagged him and said, hey, come on, what's going on over here? This is just ludicrous. It doesn't matter with your mirror gender opposite. Basically what he's saying. If we can just change our gender, what's the point?
Simply means that you are in touch with, understand, and are comfortable with your inner opposite. You can choose to express yourself in a feminine way.
And who's your inner opposite? We don't know because he keeps changing the definition.
And still be in touch with your inner masculine. Once again, remember that identification is not...
What if your inner masculine doesn't identify as being masculine but non-binary? Stupidest.
Integration.
Stupid.
Your mirror self is a part of you. It's not the true you. Your higher self, the inner star, is the true you.
The inner star closely sounds like the divine spark, right? We talked about the divine spark. Am I wrong? It's the same thing. The inner star, the divine spark, you're this creation, you're this divine being as if you will, whatever. It's stupid.
And your mirror self is just an aspect of you. The goal is not to identify and become your inner opposite. The goal is to integrate it and make it a part of your consciousness.
These videos are so long. I'm not. Should I rewind that? Let's just see what he says again. Let's go back. Say it again. Say it again. The goal is not to what?
Integration. Your mirror self is a part of you. It's not the true you. Your higher self, the inner star, is the true you. And your mirror self is just an aspect of you. The goal is not to identify and become your inner opposite. The goal is to integrate it and make it a part of your consciousness.
What does that mean? Not to identify with it, but to integrate it? Or whatever are you saying? Integrate it? Try to mix it. There's probably someone just taking notes and just, yeah, okay. I was I was gonna try to integrate it, but don't integrate. Okay, since you said that.
Have it become a part of you so that you may become whole. To sum up, what is the mirror self? The mirror self is your inner opposite. It's formed from the traits that are the opposite of your conscious ego self. It represents gender opposites and the opposites of the left and right hemispheric functions of the brain. Why should you integrate your mirror self?
The right, left, and right hemispheres of the brain are not masculine and feminine. That is the stupidest thing.
It's the most important archetype to integrate, aside from the inner star, of course. And it's the gateway to the unconscious. It's the key to integrating the left and right hemispheric functions and allowing you to access and navigate your unconscious world. How do you integrate your mirror self? You become conscious of your mirror self by recognizing your opposite traits, and you integrate them by making the conscious effort to develop them, as well as understanding the perspective of your inner gender opposite. The most important aspect...
He said it, not me. Act like I'm talking crazy. I'm not the one talking crazy.
Is integrating both your left and right hemispheric associated functions. Make sure that you develop your logical, rational abilities as well as your intuition. I cannot stress enough how key this is. Most ignore one or the other.
He cannot stress this enough. You guys need to pay attention closely, okay? Really, really, really zone in. If you want to get anything out of this video, this right here, okay? Ready? Go.
This is the most important aspect of inner star actualization.
All right, hit me.
You must develop your intuitive connection to your unconscious, as well as your logical and rational abilities, so that you can filter and order your unconscious content into a pattern. You must cultivate both left and right hemispheric associated functions. This is absolutely critical and is the key to the entire endeavor of making the unconscious conscious and actualizing the inner star.
See what I'm talking about? Do you see that? Did you see that? Let's run it back just a couple seconds just to hear him say that madness one more time. It's kind of like poetry. Okay, say it again.
You must develop your intuitive connection to your unconscious, as well as your logical and rational abilities, so that you can filter and order your unconscious content into a pattern. You must cultivate both left and right hemispheric associated functions. This is absolutely critical and is the key to the entire endeavor of making the unconscious conscious and actualizing the inner star.
To initiate your inner star actualization, you must develop your intuitive connection to your unconscious, as well as your logical and rational abilities, so that you can filter and order your unconscious content into a pattern. You must cultivate both left and right hemispheric associated functions. I am absolutely certain at this point that he is dropping acid. There's no doubt about it. Not a shred of doubt.
Leave a comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Like and subscribe. And if you enjoy my work, then support
Not
on
DMT.
Patreon.
I'm turning them off. Okay, just shut up. Not DMT, but acid. It has to be. Wow. Do you see what I'm talking about? Wow. It's insane. It's pure insane. So I'm done with him. I just thought you guys want to see that craziness from... I think since I'm in the Gnostic, mystic kind of playlist that I got going on right now, I think I'm gaining momentum with it. I want to do a little more historical Gnostic stuff, so that's why I brought up Manichaeism. Let's rendezvous back at the reassembling. I want to do some on Manichaeism. I think it's important to know the differences of when it split off of in the third century, what was going on at the time. And then we have alchemy, which is basically a different form of Gnosticism. I'm not sure what it is. I really haven't researched it, but I want to thank you guys for watching. It's been fun. It's been interesting. I had fun. I always have fun doing this, but share my videos, guys. I need some subscribers. I want to gain some traction. Just go ahead and give me a comment. Anything. I like it. So that was Mourge on his mirrored self. If you want to check it, I'll probably post the original video in the link if you want. And I can probably put all his series down there. It's just crazy stuff. So, no more of him. It makes my brain hurt. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. God bless.